Hi there Wargamers, and welcome back to another basing tutorial. Today we're going to be working on something a little bit more advanced than the last time. Last time we just used different flocking materials of different colors and types to give ourselves a little bit more realistic look than just a standard single color grass flocking type affair. I know that I've introduced this before, but I'm going to show you guys again just in case you haven't seen the other video. This is a mixture of different types of sand and some other fine flocking material, but the entire point of this is that we've got lots of different size granules. We like different size granules because it gives us some variation. If you were just to use playground sand or any other type of just standard flocking like ballast or anything like that, the issue you're going to run into is that all of it looks exactly the same. It looks like a really super uniform gravel field. And I like using this stuff, using everything from baking soda all the way up to these larger sort of pebbles. And we can even use some bigger stuff like these guys for doing large stones and some small boulders. And I know these aren't going to be boulder sizes. It would be probably to scale about a couple inches across, but they'd be bigger than gravel, so I think they look nice on these bases. We just don't want anything too giant and chunky because we still got to mount a model on this thing after all. This time we're going to start out by building up our dirt layer. And to do this, I'm going to be using super glue today. You can use whatever super glue you want, or we can do it out of PVA. But I'm just using super glue because I am super impatient and it dries really fast. So here we go. So you don't have to put down a ton, but get enough on there so that when we use a little disposable spatula or piece of paper or something like that, it'll move around nicely. Okay, so I've got this little piece of metal here, and I'm just going to use this kind of like a squeegee, and I'm going to rake it across, and this is going to even everything out for us. Get full coverage, and if you still have some dry spots anywhere, you can always come back and add a little more super glue. This stuff's a little more finicky because it likes to stick to everything. It's super glue. Okay. If you're doing this, I would highly recommend doing it in a well-ventilated area because this stuff can get awfully pungent in large quantities like this when it's all spread out. Also, it can tend to burn your eyes a little, so just to be aware, that can be an issue. Okay, so another concept we need to talk about right now is that you always want to work from largest to smallest when you're building up your ground layer, because if you start with the small stuff, putting the large stuff on afterwards can get a little tricky. It looks like it's sitting up on top of the small stuff. We want this to be sort of our foundation. We're going to throw a few of these guys on here first, just in a tight little pattern like that. Now I'm going to start sprinkling, sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. And see the super glue start to react to all the surface area on this stuff. And it will set up super duper fast, especially if you have baking soda in here. It's a physical catalyst for super glue. You wouldn't want to put that on models that you super glue together, but for this, not a problem. Okay, so there we go. We've got our piece now. It's got all of this nice texture glued down to it. Some of these larger stones looking pretty good so far. But the big difference between this and the one that we did last time is that this guy we're going to paint. Now, there's lots of different reasons for why you might want to paint. And one of the biggest ones, and typically the most prevalent, is that you can't find flocking in this color. You also may want to do some special sorts of effects on your base that you can't really do with just colors of flocking that come right out of the bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my airbrush with a little bit of black primer. I'm going to be using the Stynel Res primer from Badger. This stuff's really nice, sticks to tons of stuff. It's a little out of focus because it's a little close to the camera. Sorry about that. But you could always just use spray can primer if you like. I just prefer this because I got a lot of control out of it, and just an all-around great product. I'm going to blow this off first to get rid of any of the loose particulates here. And we're just going to prime this guy black. there we are. I know that is now pretty much impossible to see on camera. Let me see if I can tilt it anyway. Oh. That is going to be really tough to see. But I promise, in the next couple of minutes, when we start putting more paint on it, you'll be able to see it so much better. Let's grab one of the big ones over here. Alright, let's see. I didn't plan this out so well. I've got to find a landing spot for this guy. Ah, there we go. Perfect. That looks really nice. Okay. Alright. Go. Because we're using super glue, we could always hit it with just a little bit of accelerator to speed up that drying process. Go. Alright, perfect. So now we've got a couple little grass tufts down. I've sort of broken up this arid, dry wasteland. Let's throw a few little twigs on. So this is just a twig that I found outside. So this is just a twig that I found outside the studio, and I usually keep a bag of them around just for such an occasion. I really like these areas in here. I think they look really nice. They look more like the trunk of a tree. So let's figure out exactly how we want this to lay. We don't want it to be in the way of whatever miniature goes on this, so we need to be mindful of how big or in the middle this guy is. So let's just have it kind of over here. Let's say this is the front of the base. We'll have this sticking kind of out front. So I'm just going to snap this guy off right here. Hopefully I can do it. Oh, we broke the wishbone in the wrong place. That's okay. Let's try to get ourselves a more interesting break on the backside here. Okay, that looks a little more interesting. So, you know, all in all, I think that's actually probably not the best looking piece. Let's grab another one from the bag. Okay, this guy looks a little more interesting. Let's see if we can get this section out. Now, I think that one thing that we could do to make this a little bit easier and to make it a little bit more controlled is probably to use a couple of pairs of pliers to kind of hold this in place. But I like working with my hands, so that one looks good. I think that if we can manage to snap it just back here, we should be all set. Ah, perfect. That really looks like a snapped log now. So we've got this piece here. Let's make sure there isn't a better place to put it. I think that looks nice. Just across the front, kind of hangs off of the base just a little bit. If you find that it gets in the way and it's being really obnoxious and knocking into other models a lot, then by all means just trim it back. Let's see there. There we are. I think that's looking pretty snazzy. Alright. So there we are, and we can go through and add a few leaves. I think that this would be an even better base to throw the leaves down onto because we have such a high contrast. This is all very sort of off-white gray going on here. Let's drop a few of these guys out here. I think those could add just the pop of color that we're looking for on this base. Okay. For this part at least, I'm going to switch back to our quick dry tacky glue. This stuff usually tends to work a little bit better for these leaves. I find that it just sticks better. Gives it a little bit of substance to really hold on to. I'm going to pour out just a little bit onto this base. Wow, this stuff is super, super viscous. So I just poured a little bit out onto this base, and I'm going to, because my tweezers are still eluding me, I'm going to continue to use my knife. Just grab one, dip it in the glue, drop it on the base. Drop the base. Alright. Whoa. You trying to get away from me? That's okay. You can scoop it back up and lay it down. This is once again where those tweezers come in real handy. Oh, broke a piece of it off. That's okay. Leaves break. No biggie. Alright, let's throw another one of these guys right over here. Kind of want to pile some up near one of the grass tufts. Can throw some out here into this little rock debris field. Come on, work with me. Okay, that's kind of awkwardly sitting there. Okay. There we go. Better. Let's put a few around it to make it look like it's got a few more little friends in there. Alright, let's throw one more down. One more. Let's put it over here next to the tree. Reunite him with his tree friend. Okay, that one is not working. You're dead to me. Alright, let's try it again. Come on, stay. Stay! You're there. You're my last hope. Do not make this more difficult than it has to be. There we go. Goal. Alright. So now we have this different style of base where our ground is a little bit more homogeneous, but we have more control over what type of color we're really looking for on this base. We have complete control over what colors we're using. We can get some more muted tones out of this, so it really looks like very, very dead terrain. You can always use any of these techniques on a piece of terrain instead of just basing, because realistically basing is just the terrain that your model carries around with it. So thank you guys for watching this. I hope that there was some helpful techniques and tips, or even just the products in here that maybe you haven't seen before or seen done exactly like this. Check out the other things that we're doing on Facebook. We are Brush for Hire Studios on Facebook. You can also check out our website, brushforhire.com, where you will find all of our custom laser cut terrain, as well as our commission submission portal, where you can start a conversation with us about a painting project you'd like to have us work on with you. Thank you again, and until next time, happy wargaming.